Everyone, and you guys are welcome back to our final class for this course, for this module. My name is Amina Fadila Shehu, and I'm your tutor for this course. Today I'm just going to walk you through the entire process, so from data import, cleaning, advanced data analysis, and visualization. My goal today is to derive meaningful insights from the dataset that we did last time, which was information on COVID-19 cases, deaths, and hospitalizations. And the dataset actually segments it by vaccination status. So those that took the vaccine, those that did not take the vaccine, and those that took the booster dose that was given thereafter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the essential Power BI techniques like the dataset transformation, all your DAX functions again. We're going to create some calculated columns and measures, and we're going to build the various types of visualizations. They basically help us communicate our findings in a simple way. Okay, so we're just going to get started. Now, I already have my COVID dataset, and this is it. So as usual, you guys know I don't even have to say this time, but it's good practice to go through your Excel sheet or your dataset before you put it into Power BI. Now, I always explain that this helps me to understand what is expected of me, what I can do with the data, some things I can clean, some errors I can fix, and stuff. So here you can see we have outcome, our first column, and outcome is basically the type of COVID-19 outcome. So we have deaths, cases, and hospitalizations, and this is text, of course. And I need this outcome because it helps us to filter data to analyze like specific outcomes. I know in Power BI we'll have to pivot it, but yeah, let's just go through the rest. So weekend is basically the end date of the week for which the data we have here is reported. So it's for every weekend that we have. With this, I can create some time series to show my trends over time. For age group, it's just age group of the individuals in my data set. So 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 5 to 11, I think 12 to 17. Yeah. And as you can see, we have some dates here which are errors, which eventually we'll have to fix. And with this age group, what I can do is I can segment my data by age to analyze the outcome, or how the outcome varies across like different age groups. I have unvaccinated rates, and this is basically the rate of the specified outcome, so cases, death, hospitalization among unvaccinated individuals. It's a decimal number because it's a rate that was calculated, and for this one we can compare unvaccinated rates to vaccinated rates, or unvaccinated to boosted rates, or even to both vaccinated and boosted rates, basically to measure like how effective the vaccines are. With my vaccinated rate, this is basically the same thing as this, but only that this one is the rate of specified outcome among those that were vaccinated, and it's a decimal number as well. With these, I can track the effectiveness of the vaccine over time and even across different age groups to see how effective it is. My boosted rate is for those that took the booster dose, and this is actually for the same thing, rate of the specified outcome among individuals who have received the booster dose. Okay, and with this boosted rate we can compare the outcome rate among those who received the booster and those who did not. Is there really an impact? Do I really need to go back and take the booster? So next we have this crude vaccination, crude booster. Crude vaccinated is basically a ratio. So it's the ratio of the outcome rate in vaccinated individuals to outcome rates in unvaccinated individuals. And this is not adjusted to age, so it's just generic. So I have age adjusted rate ratio as well, which does it based on age. So for this vaccinated boosted one, same thing, ratio of outcome of individuals in boosted individuals to the outcome rate in unvaccinated, and it's not specific to any age. Okay, and with this now you can assess if there's any additional benefits to the booster dose with this one, and with this one we can analyze like the direct effectiveness of vaccination without any age adjustment. The next one, crude boosted ratio, on the other hand, does kind of the same thing. There's the ratio of the outcome rate in boosted individuals to the outcome rate in unvaccinated individuals, and this is also not adjusted to age. So this one's also just adjusted to age. And here we have our population unvaccinated, I think, yeah, population unvaccinated, which is basically those number of people or population of those that were not vaccinated, so population of unvaccinated individuals. And this is population vaccinated, so population of vaccinated individuals. And with this population unvaccinated and population vaccinated, for unvaccinated, with this column now, I can calculate rates and proportions of the outcome that we have amongst all the unvaccinated population. And for the vaccinated one as well, I can calculate rates and proportion of outcomes among the vaccinated population. Next one I have is population boosted, so it's basically those that took the booster dose. And for this, I can calculate rates and proportion of outcomes among the boosted population. Next one I have is I have outcome vaccinated, unvaccinated, which is basically the number of those that are unvaccinated who experience like a specific outcome. So they experience either death, hospitalization, or it was just a case that was treated at home. For vaccinated as well, it's basically number of vaccinated people who experience a specific outcome. Now with this, what I can do is I can analyze the number of outcomes among unvaccinated individuals, number of outcomes among vaccinated individuals. My outcome boosted is basically number of individuals who received the booster dose and still experienced like a specified outcome, which is in our first column. So yeah, this one is age group minimum and maximum. So your minimum is basically minimum age for the age group, and your maximum is the maximum age for the age group. So this allows us to define the age range for each group, okay? But they're giving us data like this, okay? I can even see 200 somewhere. So we're just going to and load it into Power BI. Now one thing we're sure of is that this was a CSV file. So when we're loading into Power BI, we have to make sure we're importing the Power BI, the CSV file. So I'm just going to come to my Power BI, and I'm going to create a blank report. And while we're doing this, so based on the data and tables I just showed you, some of the questions we can ask ourselves from this data is, we can check, number one, we can check what are the trends of COVID-19 cases among different age groups over maybe a specific period of time. Since I think the data is from 2021, 2022, 2023. So over these years, you can see how vaccination has made an impact, either a positive impact or a negative impact on COVID-19 cases. Also check how do hospitalization rates vary by age group and vaccination status. While I'm doing that, let's just import my file. And that thing we can check is, my file is called COVID-19 outcome by vaccination status. But I really want to change the name, to be honest. It feels really long. So I think we'll just rename it shortly. So anyway, some of the things we can also see are like, what is the case rate among those that were vaccinated, those that were not vaccinated, and those that took the boosted dose over time. We can also check the proportion of unvaccinated, vaccinated, and boosted individuals in our population. And we can also check which age group has the highest hospitalization rate, which age group has the highest deaths, which age group has the highest cases. And we can also check what's the difference in outcomes. So basically, when we load our data, this is what we have. And you guys know that we have a lot of null values, which I forgot to mention in my Excel. Null values, some duplicates. So we know we have to clean this data set because the amount of empties will definitely affect our results. This is in the wrong place. We have to check our data types to make sure they are correct. So yeah, anyway, we all know there's a lot of problems. So I'm just going to click on transform data, so it takes me to my Power Query editor to make the necessary changes that I need to make. Other things I want to find out from my data set are, what is different in COVID-19 outcomes? So under different age groups, are certain age groups dying more or are they getting hospitalized more? And how do crude vaccination and boosted rates and ratio, how do they change over time? And I also want to know how many COVID outcomes record in each group. So how many cases, how many deaths, how many hospitalizations. And yeah, like population size as well. What's the population size for each vaccination status? So population size for death, hospitalizations, cases, and basically the overall trend of COVID-19 cases in this my data set. Okay, so first things first, we just check for our data types. This is okay as text, this is okay as date. If yours is different, you change it. This is also okay as text. It's okay as text. 0 to 4, 5 to 11. So I think Power BI has actually promoted my headers and removed those dates that were here initially. But to be sure it has, I'm just going to scroll down. In my filter pane, I do not find it. Okay, it's no longer here. I changed it to 11th of May, which it thinks 11th of May to 5 to 11. That was what it was supposed to be. So yeah, this looks okay, and the data type is also fine. So the data type is also fine here. Vaccination rate, all of these are decimals, so it's okay. 1.2, 1.2, 1.2. This is basically decimal number, and by looking at 1.2, it helps me check quickly. So yeah, now if you look, the first thing I want to do after that is I have a lot of null values, and I have some columns that I don't even need. So I'm going to remove first the columns that I think I don't need. I don't think I need pre-vaccinated rate because I already have other parameters I can use to calculate what I want. But sorry, before then I have something I want to show you guys. So I know in one of the weeks I had shown you guys that you can actually check the quality of your data set, maybe like have an initial assessment of it in Power BI. So we're just going to come to view, and then for each of these columns I would like to see the column quality. So how many percent is empty, how many percent is, so for outcome it says I have 100% valid data, no errors, no blanks or nulls. For weekend as well, for age group, for vaccinated rates, I have about 29%, 28% empty. So about 282 are basically empty, which is okay. But look at this, 53%, really? 52% here. So anyway, this gives you an idea of what the kind of value you're looking for. This is 92% blank, 92%, 94%, empty, 92% empty. It's literally like you're giving me little data. So anyway, at least now we have an idea what we're going to do. So same thing, you look at the column distribution for each of them. Do you have any duplicates in your data set? If there's any duplicates, this feature of Power BI would show you the duplicates. So for mine, I just have unique variables, values. So really nothing to remove. Next thing, we're going to look at the column. So for every column, you can see which one appeared the most. It just gives you an idea the distribution of your data set. Look at this one, you can see the same thing for this one, unvaccinated rate, even though this is numbers. So yeah, let's just come back. So first thing I'm going to remove crude vaccinated ratio because I don't think I need it. I know it has the values there. I can either replace it with maybe the main median mode, or I can remove it. Do we keep it? You know what, let's just leave it. Okay, for this too, we just change the null values to 0 so that it doesn't affect our result. So I'm just going to replace, right click and put replace values. Replace values, it will bring up a pop-up, and then I'm going to just change replace null values with 0. Okay, so now any place that was blank is 0, and if you can see, it has improved the quality of my profile. Now everything is valid. Okay, so you can also do the same thing for this one, which I know I may not use the column, but I don't want to reduce too much, so I'm just going to leave it. So we're just going to replace it with 0 as well. This boosted rate, I have a lot of nulls, but I really need this column and this column because this way they are the main things I have. So if I remove them, if about 28% is blank, if I remove 28% of it and 50%, that's too much data gone. So for the blanks, I'm just going to change it to 0 so that it doesn't affect my other columns that I need for the data set. What we're just going to do is we're going to change the vaccinated rate. We're going to fill in all the zeros all the nulls with 0, because we already have 0 and 0 doesn't really mean anything. So we're just going to right click on it and put replace values, and then we're going to replace all nulls with 0. So when I do that, all the nulls become 0, which is, we also have 0. Null and 0 are not the same thing. Null is like a blank field, and 0 is a value. So this will reduce the errors I would encounter in Power BI. I'm just going to come here and do the same thing for this one. Null, and then 0. Now this is strictly because I really need these values, and if I say I'm going to remove all null values for these columns, it's really going to affect what I'm trying to do. Okay, so that's why I just removed them. So I think this look good. These two look good, to be honest. Let's just go to the next one. So we have the crude boosted one and crude boosted ratio. I may not even need them, but at least I've saved my data set. This age adjusted unvaccinated rate, there's too much blank, so I think I'm just going to remove from here to the last one. Okay, so I'm just going to hold down shift, select, and this, because the data quality is really low. So even if I were to use it, it's too much, it's too empty. So we're just going to delete it. Okay. Next thing I have is I have my population vaccinated, boosted, and outcome vaccinated and outcome boosted, who are also not so good. This is about 60, how many percent? So it's about 38% empty. Do I remove it? So let's just decide. We're just going to remove the nulls. So let's remove the nulls and just put OK. And then I'll do the same thing for my boosted, just to make sure that I don't have any issues. I really need these values, and having 0 there doesn't really fit with it because there's no 0, so it will affect my result. By doing that, all the other ones got fixed except outcome boosted. So for that too, I'm just going to replace, since I have 0, I might as well just replace the others with 0. So let's just replace values. So we're just going to replace our null with 0. So far I think everything looks good. Yeah, I think this looks really good. So let's just check the data types again to make sure nothing has changed. This is okay, this is okay, this is okay. And I think I don't have any null values, which I really like. But another thing I want to do, I just realized, is outcome. So I have outcome vaccinated, outcome unvaccinated, and they're basically the same thing. They are just all outcome types. Okay, so what I can do is, for this, instead of even doing the boosted, I could have just unpivoted the column, so it becomes 1. So I'm just going to select shift here, and then I'm going to go to my transform, and I'm going to unpivot the column. I'm going to have attribute and value, so this will be outcome type. So I'm just going to rename it. Rename. So I'm just going to put outcome type, and then that will be, the next one will be outcome value. So we're just going to rename this as outcome value. Okay, so now that we have type and value for each of these things, I know it's going to make our work much easier. But also I have outcome as case, death, hospitalization, and I want them to actually be on their own. I want a table, I want a column for death, I want a column for case, I want a column for hospitalization. It makes much more sense like that way. Okay, so I'm going to come here, select my outcome, and I'm going to pivot it. Pivot it because I want to separate it, and to pivot you have to give it a column. So I need it because I have outcome value, which is basically the value of every outcome. I need them together. So we're just going to advanced options. Since there's no aggregation, I have to put don't aggregate. Okay, so I'm just going to put okay. What it's going to do now is going to create a column for deaths, column for cases, columns for hospitalization. Now if you look closely, we have a lot of null values, because you remember how it was before. It was cases for outcome boosted, vaccinated, and unvaccinated. So, and it was deaths, then so if you look here, it was deaths, then hospitalizations, then cases, then deaths again. So this is how the value was represented. So I'm just going to remove the null values for this one, because each of these values, we already know that it's because it's already here this way that we have it as null. So we're just going to change it to 0, so it doesn't really change a lot. We're just going to replace our values, and we're going to replace all the blanks with null, because that is what it means. It means there were 0 cases, 0 deaths, or 0 hospitalizations. Okay, so same thing, I will do the same for this one. I'll replace the values and replace my null, which is basically my blank, with 0, and I will do the same thing for my hospitalization. So we replace the values, and then we're replacing null with 0. Okay, so now this hasn't really changed our data set, which is really good. Now we have our hospitalizations. We know number of cases, we know number of deaths for each of these outcomes. So outcome, vaccinated, boosted, unvaccinated, for this particular dates. Okay, for each age group. And this is really good. I think our data set looks okay, and we're okay to go into Power BI. So I'm just going to come to File and Home and just close and apply. So when I close and apply, as usual, it loads it into Power BI. So let's just wait a little. Okay, so it's here. So I'm just going to go to my table again here, my table view, just to make sure everything I have is intact. Because I know some people in class had error on this column where they had 11th of May, which I still don't have. So yeah, for me, I think this looks really good. But yeah, so we can just go ahead and start. So first thing I want to do is, based on these columns I have, there are some things I want to gain insights into. Like what I told you we're going to answer earlier. I may have to, since I finished cleaning, I may have to do some time series intelligence. I may have to create some DAX for like total population, since I don't really have it here. I just have the ones vaccinated, unvaccinated, and boosted. And there are many things I want to do with my total population column. I want to know the total number of cases, total number of deaths, total number of hospitalizations, and all of these things, I achieve them using DAX. Okay, so first things first, we're going to create a column, because I need population for all those that were unvaccinated on these particular days, and I need it here. Okay, I need it as a column. So I'm just going to create a calculated column, and we're going to call it total population. Now what this does, this column is going to help us do is that for each day, for every outcome, we have the total at the side. So it's much easier to do some visualization when you have that parameter that you currently do not have. It has already been divided into vaccinated, not vaccinated, and boosted. So my total population, to be able to calculate it, I'm just going to do I have population boosted plus population unboosted, unvaccinated, plus population vaccinated. Okay, and if I commit it, I would see my total population for each of these days here. So either whether it's population vaccinated, unvaccinated, vaccinated, boosted, everything is here now. Okay, this is the total for each of these days, regardless of hospitalization, cases, or deaths. And it's because I want to know, out of those vaccinated, out of those boosted, and out of those unvaccinated, I want to know how many died, how many were just basic cases, and how many were hospitalized. That is why I did this column. Okay, then what else can we add here? I think this is okay. that this our total population can also be a measure, to be honest, because we can calculate a measure that will help us sum population of the vaccinated, unvaccinated, and boosted, just to have a baseline figure to calculate all the rates and proportions. So you can use this as a measure, you can use it as a column, but I prefer it as a column. Okay. Next thing I want to do is I want to calculate hospitalization rate, and to do that, that we have total outcomes. I have different outcomes. I also want to know total outcomes, but okay, this one can just be a measure, so we just total the outcome type and outcome value that we have. Yeah, okay, since we put this for all of them, so now we can go ahead and just use our vaccination coverage. So vaccination coverage is basically, I want to calculate the column that tells me the proportion of the population that is vaccinated, boosted, because this helps me to understand vaccination coverage. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new column, and we're just going to call it vaccination coverage. We're just going to put equal to indicate our DAX, and I just need to know how many, do you know the coverage of the vaccine? I have to divide so the population of those that took the vaccine and those that took the booster, and I'll divide it by total number of people, since it's only those that are vaccinated that I want to know. Okay, so I'm just going to put divide, and what I want to divide is my total population vaccinated, and I need it to be, okay, I need it to actually be plus population boosted, and I need both to just be divided by, since we have a total population, well, we might as well just use the total population measure or column. So we're just going to put total population, and just going to close it up, and we should just call it. So our next column should be vaccination coverage for each of this population based on those that were boosted, those that did not take the vaccine, those that are boosted, and those that took the vaccine. And this calculated column actually helps me to understand the population that is vaccinated or boosted, just trying to understand the overall coverage of the vaccine within different age groups and different outcomes. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I want to do total number of cases, since I have cases here, and initially I had them as outcome unvaccinated, outcome vaccinated, outcome boosted, and now that I just have cases here, I might as well just create a measure that sums my cases. So what we're going to do is we're going to, I think this is okay, I think this is enough columns. If I need more, I can always come back and add more. So I'll just come here, and for cases I want to create a new measure, so I'm just going to come here. I'll do total cases. I want to know total deaths. I want to know total hospitalizations. So total cases equal to, we need the sum of our cases, and we're just going to close it and then save this measure. For deaths as well, I want to check it, so I'm just going to, we have our total cases. Next one will just be total deaths, and I would also do total hospitalizations. Total deaths equal to, once again, our sum of deaths, and I'm just going to close it and save it. Earlier I just remembered I wanted to change the name of the table, and I forgot to do that. So we're just going to rename the table and just leave it as COVID-19. Okay, so because this is too long actually, COVID-19. Okay, and then we're just going to put enter. So everywhere that we've referenced, we don't have to go back. It should be able to change everything for us. So After I've done total deaths, next thing we just create new measure for total hospitalization. So total hospitalizations equal to the sum of that our table COVID-19 hospitalizations. Okay, I'm just going to close it. Okay, so we have measures for that. Another thing I wanted to calculate earlier was, since we have no total number of cases, this is okay. We have total hospitalizations, we have total deaths, and I also want to know the average death rate. And actually vaccination impact. So since we have data for vaccinated, unvaccinated, and boosted, I want to know the impact on our cases, on our hospitalization, and on our deaths. Okay, so yeah, what else do we need to know? So next thing I want to do is I want to know the average case rate by like various age groups. So I'm just going to let's create a new measure. I want to know for like cases, I want to know for deaths, I want to know for hospitalization. So we're just going to say average, I'll just say AVG cases, the rate by age group. Okay, equal to, for this of course you guys know we're going to use the average. And for average our table is cases, so I'm just going to close it, and I'm just going to copy this so that I can use it for death and hospitalization. So you just commit. So you should create our measure for average cases rate by age group. So I'll do the same thing for by hospitalization and by deaths. So we'll just come here again and create a new measure. So there are a lot of DAX functions you can use depending on what insights you're trying to get into your data. This is just for normal things. So, but I also know I want to do for time as well, because I'm trying to see the trends over the 3 years. Average death rate by age group, and this time around we need to see the deaths table. Okay, and we're just going to save it as well. So next one we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing for hospitalization. So I'm just going to create my new measure, and let's see. Okay. So I'm just going to paste like what I did earlier. So but this time we'll just call hospitalization hosp and cases hospitalizations, and yeah. So let's work on it. So I think this is okay. We know our total cases, we know our total deaths, total hospitalization, we know the outcomes. These are 3 outcomes. We know total population, total hospitalization. We know our rates for vaccine. Just before I go to my visualizations, I also want to do for case rate, because I know I have unvaccinated, I have vaccinated, and I have boosted rate. It would be nice to know the case rate for each of this based on the column we have. So we're just going to create a new measure for this quickly. Last measures, before I know we'll have to do some for year to date, month to month, month to date, quarter to date, and stuff. So but for this one, what I want to do is I want to do case rate. So case rate, let's do vaccinated first, which is basically equal to the sum of my vaccinated rate, and I'm just going to close it. So we'll just save it. Let's copy it so that I don't have to type all over again. I don't want the video to be very long. So, and then a new measure to help me do the same thing basically. So for this one we'll call it unvaccinated, and then we change this to unvaccinated. So sorry, this is in small letters. This looks good. So the next one is for boosted, because I know I have boosted rate, so I'll just do the same thing for it basically. So case rate boosted. How many of us took the booster dose? Booster, and then boosted rate. So basically boost that rate. Okay, and we're just going to save it. Okay, so I think this looks good. I don't want to do too much. I don't want the video to be very long. Yeah, this looks good. So next thing I want to do is we're just going to go to our visualization pane, which is basically your report view. This is our blank canvas, and some of the things I want to do, like I said, I want to know, there's so many things anyway, but first thing I want to find out now is I want to know the cases, so by age group and vaccination status. So how many people in various age groups have been vaccinated. So for that, I'm going to just come and I'm going to use a clustered bar chart because I'm representing different age groups. So clustered bar chart, and then I'm just going to select my age group, and then I'm going to select my boosted rate, because I want to know those that were boosted, those that were not vaccinated, and those that were vaccinated. So if you look closely, this is what I have. I like to use clustered column chart better, but yeah, whichever one you like, you can use it. So with this, we know those that are within the age group of 50 to 64 were the ones that did not take the vaccine. Okay, now we've seen this, we want to know, eventually we'll find out if they're the ones that died more or who died more. We all know that 5 to 11, I don't even think they were eligible for the vaccine. So yeah, I mean, this gives us an insight into how many people for our different age groups took the vaccine, how many did not take the vaccine, how many took the booster. So we have these who took the vaccine, did not take the vaccine. So anyway, you can just use this for many things. I'm just going to keep it by the side. Okay, next thing I want to do is I want to know the amount of deaths so how many people died based on their vaccination status over time. So for this one, I told you if you want to see something over time, the best chart for you to use is your line chart. So I'm just going to click on my line chart, and then because I want to know by date, I'm just going to put my weekend, since that was the date column. Let's put a table so that I see what I'm looking. And the next thing I want to do is I want to check unvaccinated rate, my vaccinated rate, and my boosted rate. Okay, and for this one, we're going to put our line chart, which was initially there. So with this now, you can drill down, so you can know how many for each of this period. So you can just go to 2021, or you can go down in hierarchy. It takes you to the next one, the quarter of particular year. You can go up. You want to check 2022. So 2022 is what we have. You want to go down into it, turn on your drill down mode, and then you go down in hierarchy. So you're in 2022 now. You can see for all of the quarters. You can see the vaccinated, the non-vaccinated, the boosted for each of these quarters and each of these months. So depending on what you're trying to bring out, with this, I can make a lot of conclusions, and I can ask you at least 10 questions from this visual. Okay. So yeah, I think this looks good. So next thing I want to know is I want to know vaccination status over time, basically. So I want to know total number of people that were vaccinated, total number of people that were not vaccinated, and total number of people that were boosted. So I'm just going to drag my total population boosted to my population of vaccinated, and my population vaccinated, and I'm just going to put them in a pie chart. Pie chart is always showing a difference. So about 39% of my population are boosted, so they took the vaccine and they took the booster. Unvaccinated is about 22%, which is really good considering if the vaccine actually worked for COVID, which we see it reduced deaths. And those that were vaccinated without taking the booster is about 38%. Okay, so I'm just going to keep this here as well. Next thing I want to do is I want to try and use as much visuals as possible. So if I want to see the difference now between the outcome in this case is so hospitalization and deaths, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag each group for different age groups, and then I'm going to drag my cases, I'm going to drag my deaths, and I'm going to drag my hospitalization. So for each of these age groups I can see, so I'm just going to the clustered column chart to be able to see it. Oh, this looks really small. So some of cases, deaths are really small. I am happy I'm saying really small deaths, but anyway, the value is still here. So for deaths, you have for all cases, you have for all, that's those that were not specified, we have this amount of cases, this amount of deaths, this amount of hospitalization. So for different age groups, this represents everything that we need. Okay, so you can just save it, even though I really don't like the visual. Maybe we put it like this. The debt is really small, it's almost insignificant, but yeah, we still, I mean, it's only this that will help us prove that a lot of people didn't die. So I'm just going to leave it. I'll just create another page, and eventually we're going to put some of these things on the same page. So next thing I want to do is how many outcomes occurred in each age group. So how many deaths, I don't think we did that. Yeah, how many deaths occurred in each age group, how many hospitalizations. So for that, you drag your age group and you drag your cases. Okay, no, we did that in. That's what we just did. So I'm just going to leave it. Next thing I want to do, I want to put population size for each vaccination stage. So what size for those that took the vaccine, for those that didn't. Okay, that's what I did here. Then how do outcome rates, so the cases of hospitalization, how do they vary? So next thing we're going to do is we're going to use so trends in COVID-19 cases over time. We can do weekend and cases, so we'll just go to our weekend and cases, and we can now know how many number of cases we had. You can use a line chart to represent it, and you can also drill down and drill up. So unlike the one that we just separated, even though this visual will do the same thing, because you can see deaths, you can see it is even for vaccinated and unvaccinated. So for this one, you can see deaths, you can see cases. So this is only for cases. You can do the same thing for deaths, so we can know how many cases over 2022, and we go down as usual. You guys are now pros in drilling down and up. So these for cases for each year. Next one I want to do is for deaths as well, and weekend. So same thing, we have, you can decide to use your line chart or your area chart just for a difference. We can drill in so that our visual looks really good. So just, yeah, drill down into quarter two. Okay, and this is some of the deaths for the quarter. You can do the same thing for hospitalization. Okay, so as usual, you drag this one as well, and we can use stacked area chart just so there's a difference with the visuals. This looks very similar to what we have here. Okay, so we'll just go down, and this is what we have for hospitalization. Next thing I want us to do is, this gives us like an idea of kind of COVID-19, up and down, In this year it went up, in this year it went down. We can see that in 2023 there is literally almost no COVID, and if we are 2024, I'm sure it will say the same thing. Okay, so next thing I want to do is I know we have the gauge, so I want to know that vaccine coverage ratio. Let's measure it using our gauge. So we can just drag it, and now with our gauge we have the sum of vaccine coverage on, that's basically how many people out of our population have either taken the vaccine or have been boosted. So this is one. Then also I want to know, like, I can use card for my total cases. Basically I can drag another card for my total deaths, another one. So total deaths throughout my dataset is about 4. That's not bad. And then total hospitalized. So how many people had COVID and were hospitalized? Now, one important thing that we don't know yet is, okay, out of those people that were vaccinated, those that were not vaccinated, how many died and how many are alive? How many were hospitalized and stuff? So I'm just going to use a donut chart to represent that. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to check the number of deaths and how many out of these deaths were vaccinated, how many took the booster, and how many did not take the booster. And the best thing to represent is actually your donut or pie chart. So for our deaths, we know that most of the people that died from COVID, they did not take the vaccine. And then the least amount of people are the ones that took booster dose. So if you wanted to be safe from COVID, you could have taken the vaccine and the booster. And yeah, for deaths, that is what our result shows. And we're just going to keep it here. Same thing, I want to find out the same thing for my hospitalization. So based on the vaccine, let's just see. Taking the vaccine actually have an impact on my results. So most of course, we can see 42% of them, those that were hospitalized, did not take the vaccine. And then about 30% took the booster and 27% were vaccinated. So about 50% or almost 50% took the booster or were vaccinated, and this protected them from COVID. So we're just going to keep this here. And the number of cases, those that were vaccinated, everybody wants to know, does the vaccine actually work? So we're just going to drag our cases and outcome type to see, was there really any difference in the vaccine? So if you had vaccine, were you supposed to catch COVID? And if you see it's so equal, literally the difference is a little bit. So those that did not take the vaccine are 34%, and those that took the vaccine and booster about 60-something%, and they still had COVID. So yeah, anyway, we have an insight into this. We can add more cards. So for some of these things, like want to know the total population of those that we're considering, you can put it as a card here. 5 billion people. Whoa. So I'm just going to remove it. I don't need that information on my dashboard. What else can we check? So we've checked, we can check outcome type by date, and with this we can see, okay, that's the first visual. Sorry, it's already on the first page. What else can we add? So we can also use our, let's use tree map. I think that's a visual we've never really used. We can use our visual to check, so number of cases for different age groups. So this has narrowed it down for, so we know about some of our cases is all of them, this age group for all. We can even remove this from our Power Query, to be honest. We don't want to be dealing with all and then all of this. So but anyway, 30 to 49, we know we have this amount of cases for this one. With the colors, this makes like it's very interesting. So if you can see, it's based on the number that the size is created. So tree maps are really interesting. So you can do the same thing as well for deaths. It's a really interesting visual. So for age group 2, and then so you can see number of deaths. So most of the majority 80 plus were the ones dying, and then 65, which is something that we all know, to be honest, because I know during COVID most of the people I knew were actually aged that passed away, which is really sad. Okay. I'm just trying to make space for this visual. It's okay. So yeah, we just create another page, just add maybe 2 or 3 visuals, and that's it. So this Q&A function, now if you want to ask your, maybe what's the age group with the highest, I'm not connected to the internet, so it wouldn't work. But if you wanted to ask some questions about your data, you can use the Q&A. Okay. So what is total sales by outcome type? There is total cases by outcome type, and you just ask it. So you should be able to give you a response if I was connected. Okay. So your outcome vaccinated is the highest. Your unvaccinated is the next highest, and then your boosted is it. So anyway, you can ask a lot of questions about your data here. And then what else can we use? We already use most of this, to be honest. This is our gauge, this is our card. We don't have any details that we can use Mark for. I think this is okay actually. But yeah, if you come across this and there's something else you want to do, you can always do it. If you want to check like total deaths based on age group, so for different age groups, which I think I kind of did using the tree map. But yeah, you also have it here. Same thing with you want to see the case rate for unvaccinated, and you want case rate boosted, and you want to check it based on age group. You can also do the same thing. Just check. Yeah, if we wanted to just use, so we wanted to use case rate boosted, case rate vaccinated, and case rate unvaccinated based on age group. This is how you can just do it. Okay. So you have your different age groups and the rate for the booster for each of these age ranges, which is also really good. So I'm just going to leave it here, and I'm going to allow you guys to explore. So what we're going to do now is we're going to arrange our visuals. I've taught you how to do the visuals, but we've just been doing them like really scattered. So let's make it look very, very appetizing. Okay. So before we do that, before we make it look good, it's always good practice to actually put a slicer. For me, I like to put slicers. So I've just added some here. The video went off. I added one for, let's just delete it and do it again. So I added a slicer, which is this here, and I added one for my age group, so that I can narrow down my data based on like age. You know, with COVID, is like those that were above 60 were more at risk. Those from 5 to 11 could not take the vaccine. Those around 29-30 with underlying diseases. So like there was a lot of age factor in COVID. And next thing I want to do is, over the time I can see that it went down. Like COVID is literally nowhere to be found now. So I'm going to add this slicer for my date as well, so that you can narrow it down from different months. Now I don't want to show it. If I go down now, I can see quarters, and I don't want to see quarters, I want to see months. So I'm just going to remove the quarter here. Now when you put this here, you can see the months. Okay, so before we do that now, let's just come here. So first things first, normally the titles have to be different. So what exactly are you trying to represent here? So here I'm trying to represent some of boosted rate, some of vaccinated rate, and some of vaccine rates by age group, and all of these are just rates by age group. So vaccination rates by age group. So I'm just going to come here and change the title. Just going to go to general, come to your title, and we're just going to change it to vaccination rate by age group. Okay, and by doing that, I know you guys know by now, I like it much bigger. So I'm just going to put heading 4 or 5. Or heading 2. We're just going to increase our font size to maybe 18. I don't like the font type, I like it really bold. And then I like to use the color. This time around, let's use a different thing. So what if I use yellow? Okay, we'll come and change our whole thing to yellow, but I don't even like how this yellow looks. Let's use navy blue. Okay, or let's change our theme first. So we'll go to our view, and and let's select a really nice theme. Let's put theme gallery. I think, yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work to the internet. How about we use this? We've never really used this, and I think it looks good for many things. Okay, now we're going to tailor. So when we come here, we're going to put our visuals in a way that we come here and then we close it. Effects of this one, the background is currently transparent, so if I want it to be black, it doesn't look okay. So but we can leave it as maybe a light gray where we can still see our data, but let's make it a light gray. Okay, so it's not white basically. Okay, I think this is, with this everybody can see what we have there. Okay, so next thing too, I'll do the same thing for this one. For this one is population boosted, so it's basically sum of population vaccination status. That's what I want to call it. So I'll come to my title and put population vaccination status. So population vaccine. So how many took the vaccine, how many were not vaccinated, something like that. 3 years. And then we'll put, let's say, heading 2. And then we change it to Arial black. We leave it as 18, just like the other one. And was the other one in 18? Why is it looking much bigger? Okay. And then this. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to. So we put the color to be blue. And then our background color for it is okay. Then we change the title. So we come to our background here and we change it to this color. So now it looks kind of the same. And we're just going to drag them side by side. I don't want any space in between because the space shows like I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, you can put other effects on this. So you can add visual border. So you can come here, add a visual border just to seclude it. Okay, so if you look here now, you can see we have a border for the image. Okay, while we're doing that, we forgot to put a title, so I'm just going to drag this a little bit down, and then when I put my title, I'll come back. So I'm going to come to insert, and I'm going to put a text box. So we'll just call this, what do we call this? COVID-19 vaccine versus outcome report. Okay, and then we just change it to maybe Georgia. We put size to about 54, and then we can make it bold. You can change the font color to blue because I like blue, and then I'm just going to drag it so it's at the top. 54 looks really big, so I'm going to reduce it. I like it at the center as usual, and now I really like this writing. Okay, I think this looks better to me, so I'm going to leave it. Okay, to do this, I can decide to remove the background if I want. So you just come here and go to effects. The background is currently white. I can decide to change it to another color. Or I can even decide to remove it if I don't want it. So I have more colors. I think we can just leave it as it is, to be honest. It actually looks bad. But yeah, if you don't want it, you can remove it. Okay. Some effects you can put as well. You can put shadow. You can on your shadow. It's in black, so we can just leave it in gray, so it's not that obvious. Yeah, I think this looks good. I like how it looks so far. Okay, so then I'm going to drag this and put it here. Drag this, put it here. Okay, so next thing I want to do is I have a slicer that I created in one of these. I might as well just drag the slicer here. Okay, slicer, and I'm just going to drag age group. So I mean, it looks perfect for this small space that I have here. No disturbance. Okay. Now, another thing I want to do is I have a legend here, and I don't like that it's showing population boosted, population not boosted. I want to rename the field. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it as population boosted and population unvaccinated instead of sum of population. We already know it's a sum, but I don't have to go and telling everybody it's sum. So I'm just going to change it. So let's rename for the future as well, and then population unvaccinated. Okay, so this is what we have now. It doesn't really affect this. Here I'm just going to change the background for this because I wanted to match everything that I'm doing. So we'll just change the background and put it back to this color, just like every other thing, which looks really good so far. Yeah, so I'm just going to try and do the rest off camera, and then since you guys have seen the steps, I'm going to follow the same steps for everything, and then I'll show you guys how I organize it. The video is getting too long, and yeah, so I'll just show you guys some of the videos in it. Let's just show you guys, because I realized that we have these cards. One, I'm just going to select them so that I can move them to the first page. I'm just going to control see them, and I'm going to bring them here. Reason being, I want to put the visuals in the first place because everybody wants to know the cards. The cards actually give you a lot of insight into information before you even use the information. So most times when I'm giving you my reports, I put my cards actually at the top here, so they drag the attention. Okay, everybody can basically like instant insights into what you've done. So you drag this one here as well. Okay. Here, and then we drag it like this. Here as well, we drag this one. Now I know we have to change the visual for all of this. Okay, and then we're just going to come here and on the general. Okay, we don't even need title for this thing. Let's just change our background. Effects. Background to just be ash. Okay, for it, come to this one too, do the same thing. Background, put it this color, and then this one too, we do the same thing, and we just change it to this color. Okay, so the text actually I want to change it to blue, because if the theme of my report is gray and blue, what are you doing there, black? So this is for call out value, and we're just going to change it to this color now. Oh no, we can't do, we have to use the blue. So same thing for each one, for all of them. So the category label, we also change it, which is basically what is at the bottom. We change it to blue as well, and yeah, it looks good, isn't it? So same thing for this one, we change it to it's on black, so we change it to blue. And we come to our call out value also, and we change it to blue. So we do the same thing for this one. From here we change it to blue, and then we go to our category label and we call it blue. Okay, and this is what we have. Okay, so but I want to add another one because this piece just looks like it needs something. So we've done total hospitalization, total death, total number of cases. We can do average hospital rates by age group. So what is we're just going to work hard for that. Okay, so as average number of people per age group that go to hospital is about 6.4, but I don't like this value. I want something that, should we say average cases, that's what we tried, average death rate by age group. Let's use that. And we're just going to use a card. Okay, so we're just going to drag it here. I'll put it here. Okay, Same thing that we did for the other ones, to change it to blue. Our text should be in blue, and our category level as well should be in blue. Then we'll change the general settings, and we'll change our background to this blue that we're obsessed with this time around. Okay, then here I have some of these visuals here, and I'm going to use my gauge as well, because gauge is really attractive on the first slide. So we're just going to drop it, and we can drop it here. Okay, but let's drop it at the bottom. I already have this that I don't know where to put, so I'm just going to put this. We're going to remove this one and drag it to the next slide. Put it here, and then so you have our gauge here. We're going to change the background for it too. Effects, background, and we're going to give it this gray. Then we're just going to drag it to look smaller. You can drag this longer. You see there is no space because we have a background image. And yeah, so for this one we do the same thing. We change the background. So you come to your general, your effects, your background, and you change it to this. And yeah, this is where you have. So this space that we have, we can decide to put one of the pie charts, or maybe our tree map that we have in page 3. Tree map, because tree map makes a place to look really nice. So we just paste it. This is really okay. I think you can see. Yeah. So another thing is, when you're presenting your data, you can always enter it. So basically, I'll show you guys briefly. But let's change the background of this one. General effects, background, and change it to our new favorite color, gray. And yeah, I've not changed some of the titles, but you can do that. This is just to show you what you can do. You can add borders for all of these things. They make it look really, really nice. And yeah, we have a lot of other things you can add. You can use this in your visuals as well. So you can use this, add this, and just adjust it. Okay, same thing, you can keep this visual, drag it up. So each of them you can just rename them, and if you want to enter a particular visual, you go to your focus mode and you can open it. Okay, some of that's by quarter. You can also do the same thing when you go down. So you drill down and you go down in hierarchy, and you can see for month, so it changes to by month. This focus mode is really, really good in Power BI. And then, so I've used this visual earlier. I'm just going to delete it. I used this earlier. I'm going to delete it. We used our gauge in the first slide. I'm going to delete it. And we used this value. I'm going to delete it. So I'm just going to put this here. Okay. And then we're just going to drag it. And just align it to make sure it looks good. We're going to come to page 3 to see what we can add. This donut chart really looks really good here on this one. So let's see if we can put them in page 2. You can add as many pages as you want, and the good thing is, because you can drill down, you just need one visual to explain like 1,000 things. Okay, so but yeah, with this I've been able to show you guys some visualizations that you can do in Power BI. And we started this project with you guys from start to finish. Just trying to sort this out. Okay. So here, and then so. Okay, so anyway, you can just keep filtering out until you get what you want. Okay, right, so here I just want to drill up so that I don't leave it here. We're just going to leave it like this. For this one, I'll just like to put in so that it's easier for whoever is going to go through this. And you have months. Okay, we have our pie chart at the bottom for outcome of death. And the pie chart, why I put this is because you can, from seeing it, you can actually identify what it is. And we have this legend that helps you to describe it. If you remember, we created a slicer, I think in page 3, or is it page 4? Page 4 for the date. So I'm just going to drag the slicer for the date. I'm going to drag it to page 3 and just put it by the side. Simply because I have this really small space and it could use some little space at the side. So we just put it here and then we click on so, and then we just drag it just because I don't want any place blank. So you can change it to the color gray just like we did earlier. And then for your page 3, you can do the same thing. We already have these pie charts that we use for deaths and cases, so I'm going to delete both of them. And I'm going to keep for hospitalization because that's what we haven't used. I'm just going to expand it. We used, I think, by age group in the first page, so I'm going to delete this. And we're going to use and yeah, next thing we're going to do is I have these two visuals, this visual here that I haven't used, so I'm just going to drag it to page 3 and we can really expand on it. Because of space, I'm just going to make this a column chart. Because there's a column chart, I can see whatever. So I think the column chart looks really good here. We have everything. I have our age group. We have the case rate booster, and it's highlighted. Okay, so remove it and everything is back to normal. I think these 3 pages are okay. We can now delete this page since we've already taken the visuals that are here. And yeah, so this is your first page, the second page. You can change everything to look really good, but this looks so good for me. And the third page. And you can do a lot more depending on what you have, and you guys can explore all the visual. So far in this tutorial, we've been able to explore the process of analyzing this COVID-19 dataset by vaccination status in Power BI. So we did the initial steps, the data import, cleansing to advanced transformation and visualization. And we've used like Power BI's features and DAX functions to derive meaningful insights from our data. Some of the insights we have where we're able to visualize trends of COVID-19 cases, we've done hospitalization, deaths over time, we've highlighted many significant patterns and changes. Now we know the impact of vaccination and booster doses in reducing COVID-19 cases and hospitalization, all with our data set. We've done age group comparisons, we've identified which groups are most affected by COVID-19 and how the outcomes vary with different ages. So you follow this tutorial, or by following this tutorial, you have learned how to transform your raw data into actionable insights using Power BI. The skills and techniques that you covered in this tutorial, you can apply it to various datasets and you can uncover a lot of valuable information. So you're going to use this for your capstone project, as you guys are aware. And yeah, but my final thoughts are, you guys know that I'm an advocate for data analysis and visualization. They are extremely powerful tools that help us to understand complex data set, because come to think of it, look at the data set that we imported earlier. I mean, who would have thought that we would be able to bring out all of this information from that? Okay, so I really hope this tutorial has equipped you with the knowledge and skills you need to tackle similar data sets or similar data analysis projects with confidence and precision. And as you guys continue to explore your data, remember that the key to successful data analysis lies in the preparation, thoughtful transformation, and extremely clear visualization. Thank you so much for following along, and I wish you the very best in your future data analysis endeavors and future business intelligence endeavors. Keep using Power BI, and if you've liked any of these videos, please like the video, comment, share the video, subscribe to the channel so that you guys encourage me and I do more videos. Yeah, and thank you so much for so far. Have a lovely week.